Welcome, America. Who I am is not really that important. Obviously, I'm a black man living in America, but I don't recognize the America I live in. I am angry. I'm not bashing windows. I'm not yelling racial epithets at white people. I'm not trying to get the police hurt. I'm not dragging people out of their businesses. I'm not making excuses. We live in a time that truth matters the most. Truth always matters. And the problem is, as we watch the media and we listen to people talking, they're saying things that is not true. I'm just going to address a couple of points. The main reason I'm talking today is I saw a young lady, a Caucasian white lady, speaking with a Black Lives Matter person. And I'll let the video speak for itself as far as what you're going to see and hear. But watching it, it just made me angry. We live in a country where people are created equal. Are they isolated incidents of racism? Of course. But there's isolated things like sexism, people who hate each other because they're tall or because they're short. As human beings, we cause all kinds of problems for each other. But for the most part, we live in a country with 330 million people. And for the most part, we get along. And saying anything opposite of that is a lie. And feeding hate and feeding fear and feeding division isn't going to help our country. Fighting the police isn't going to help our country. Are there bad police officers? Yes. Just like there's bad black people, bad white people, bad Asian people, bad Mexican people. There's bad people in every color, race, creed, nationality. It doesn't matter. As an American country that is based on laws, we have laws to address those issues. But what's going on now is politicians are using violence and mob mentality to push agendas, to seize power. They're not interested in helping black people. If that was the case, all Democratic places that are run by mayors and governors, wouldn't those be havens for black people, where everything is wonderful and the police treat them right and there's not problems? Do your research. Look into these cities run by Democrats. Look into these states run by Democrats. I'm not saying Republicans are the holy grail or angels, but I will tell you that we're not looking at the truth. We're making excuses and we're allowing our feelings to drive the narrative. White privilege is not a thing. It's the most racist thing I can think of, to tell a white person that they are racist because they're white. They were born white. And to use that as a weapon against them to make them feel like they should feel guilty for being white or living in America being white. White privilege is a racist term. Do not let someone fool you into believing that it is righteous. It is not. You make the choice of what you do. If you want to treat black people with respect and dignity, you will. If you don't, you won't. But I'm not going to accuse you of something just because subconsciously I supposedly believe that you hate me. That is not even logical. And what it does is it paralyzes the white person into guilt.
I work for Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry that I scared you. Okay. But since I work for that company, my CEO has told me to come out today and to bring you on your knees because you have white privilege. So if they see that a white person is getting on their knees, that shows solidarity for the situation. And could you just please apologize for your white privilege? Just apologize?
I am. I'm trying to think of the right words to say because that's a big thing to say.
It's big.
It comes from.
It's large in this country.
I'm incredibly sorry.
But eventually that guilt is going to turn into something else if we keep pushing that false narrative, because people do not like the feeling of guiltiness. Eventually they're going to wonder, am I really guilty? And then once they realize the truth behind that false narrative, which is they're not guilty, then they're going to become angry. Angry at the people who've been pushing that narrative on them. Angry at the people who are telling them they're bad people because they're white. Every person should be judged based on their own actions, not on a theory. White privilege is racist ideology. We need to treat people as people, whether they're black, white, or everything in between. That's what's righteous, and that's what's good. White people do not buy into the lie of white privilege. What you believe doesn't make it true. Them convincing you doesn't make it true. Do you hate black people? If the answer is no, then how can you have white privilege? Can you walk in a bank and get a loan because you're white? Yes, but you can also walk in the same bank and get a loan if you're black. They look at your credit scores. They look at your income. They're not looking at your skin color. They're looking at the green color called money. We got lots of smartphones in this country. So if you want to go investigate and find out if you really have white privilege, take your cell phone, get your black friends, and go do some research and find out if white privilege is really a thing. Don't just buy the narrative. Actually do some research. Don't listen to people who got PhDs after their name telling you, oh, this is real. No, what's real is we're all Americans. We all live under the same Constitution. And when we find injustice, there's laws to deal with them. Violence, mobs, trying to overturn the rule of law, that is not American. And as a black man, and I don't think of myself as a black man, but for this video, that's what I'm talking about. But as a black man, I don't walk outside looking at color. I don't go outside looking at the color of your hair, the color of your eyes. I see people. Because, you know, at the end of the day, we're all people. Does America have a history of slavery? Yes. Of racism? Yes. Does racism still exist in certain portions of America? Of course. But in a country with 330 million people, if there was real racism, if there was real under the belly systemic part of the system racism, then there would be another civil war. Remember, the slaves escaped from slavery. They didn't leave America. They went to the North. The North is in America. So if all of America was racist, why would they escape to another part of America that's racist, right? There are white people willing to help them escape slavery. Then Abraham Lincoln came along. He wasn't trying to end slavery through a war. He was trying to work through it diplomatically. And time would take care of that. But that's not what happened. The Civil War is what happened. And you know what? Lots of white people died so black people could be free. That's not racism. And there's no way in that kind of a system built a systemic racism. That didn't change the fact that the people in the South, many of them were still racist, even though they lost the Civil War. Ideology doesn't change overnight. It takes time for ideology to change. And as they tried to keep black people in slavery, they put Jim Crow laws in place. That's what happened. And then someone came along and decided to challenge those laws because they were unjust. And you know what? Those laws went away because that's America. We fight for what is right, but we do it in such a way that we're not killing one another, that we're not demeaning one another, but we're working together, because the civil rights movement didn't work because of just black people. It took white people too, because we have to be together against injustice and not pick out and choose what's unjust. Mistreating anybody is injustice, whether the color is white or not, whether it's black or not. Don't you understand? If we start isolating ourselves based on color, we're creating division, and it's going to create hate. We don't want to live in a country of hate. And you know how you stop hate? Not by giving in and bowing down and bending a knee, but having a conversation about how can I help you, and how can you help me, and how can we help each other. These cities where black people live, and there's poverty, and there's crime, and there's people killing one another, we keep hiring the people who say they have solutions, and they haven't solved anything. They just want power. Pay attention. 50, 60 years of Democrat-run cities and nothing has changed. It's only gotten worse. Doesn't that tell you something? If you want to go with statistics, look at those. They're running these big cities and they're running them into the ground. And all they care about is power. Every election cycle, power. Oh, we're going to fix it for you. We're for the black people. No, they're not for the black people. They promote abortions for black women. They promote welfare for black people. They keep fathers out of the household. They're trying to tear down the black community, so they are ideological slaves to the Democratic Party. We're going to help you. You just keep voting for us and we're going to help you. And matter of fact, we got to make sure you hate the white people and understand that they're against you. But we're the white people for you as we destroy your culture and your families. Pay attention. If they're always pointing to the other side as racist and always pointing to the other side as they're the problem, but they're the ones running the cities that you're in. So who's the real problem? It's called smoke and mirrors. Look over there. Don't look at us, because you may actually pay attention and notice what we're doing. Americans, the truth matters. I am not denying that there are racist people out there. What I'm denying is America's a racist country. I walk out every day and meet lots of people. They're not mistreating me. They're not acting like, well, he's not as good as me. Can it occasionally happen? Yes. Have I been pulled over by the police? Yes. I guarantee you I've been pulled over more than most people just because I'm black. But once they pulled me over, they didn't mistreat me. They didn't call me names. They didn't throw me up against the car. I respected them as police. And you know what? I made it home every time. And I didn't feel like I was less than. Was I inconvenienced? Yes. But in a country where crime actually exists, I'd rather the police pull me over and make sure that I'm not doing something wrong than just sit there and be afraid to do it. We need better police officers where there are officers who don't follow the law, officers who are pushing their own narratives. Yes, I agree with all of that. But America was never founded on racist ideals. Read the documents. Were there racists here? Of course. There's racists everywhere, in every culture, in every country. America is not that special. But America is built on a greater ideal. And there's no way that we had a black president for 8 years if America's racist. Let's go with logic, people. We need critical thinking. Stop watching the news and believing visuals without any actual evidence of investigation. Violence against Americans, no matter the color, is wrong and lawlessness. And we need to stop it, and we need to stand up and speak against it. White people, get off your knees, lock your arms with black people who use critical thinking and want America to be a great country together. We can solve problems together. We can solve problems speaking the truth. We can't solve problems believing lies. I don't want you to be weakened by white privilege, so you feel like you can't speak your mind to me, a black man, and I can't speak my mind to you, a white person. That is not the America I want to live in. I want to live in an America where we can talk to one another and we have differences of opinion and we work together so we can make America even better. They're trying to divide us against them. The white people are against you. The black people are being put. No, that is not true. Isolated incidents do not create a narrative. That's like me walking outside, getting beat up by a white guy, and then coming in here making a video talking about all white men are brutality against black people. Numbers matter. Statistics matter. We are living in an age where we're believing lies based on news clips and video clips. Those things aren't not real. They may be real, but does that define Americans? If you went outside and accidentally tripped and hit your head, and then somebody came to help you and they happen to be black, well, you can't assume all black people are going to help you when you fall. But you can say, that young black man helped me. That's okay. But extrapolating data to a whole race of people, whether they're white, black, Asian, or whatever, is not the right thing to do. not unless the statistics bear it out. We have to be smarter than this, Americans. We have to. And all I can say to you is bowing down is the only thing we should do to God, not to each other. I love all Americans, white, black, and everything in between. And I want us to be together promoting American ideals, which is freedom, the pursuit of happiness. All the other nonsense that's going on is only trying to divide us. And if we keep letting them do it, all it's going to do is give them more power and us less power. So white people, forget about white privilege and think about American privilege, because American privilege is what we all have. We can all make decisions to better our life, and we can work together for that. Barack Obama didn't become president because of white privilege. He became president because we live in America, where we try to not look at the skin color and look at the character of the person. Let's keep doing that. Let's keep making decisions not based on color, but make decisions based on character. Do you have character? Then treat people as people. Do not look at people as colors. Do not look at people as races. Look at people as people. We all have different cultures. We all have different ideals, and that's what makes America great. We bring those good ideals together that follow the principles of America. And those bad ideals, we should not be bringing in. If you like bad ideals, go to the country that support those bad ideals. But if you want to be an American, you stand up for American principles, which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we can only do that working together and working in the truth. Believing lies will not solve the problems in America. All that's going to do is make more problems. George Floyd shouldn't have died, but he's not the only person that shouldn't have died that day. But we're not focused on any of those people. You do know 9 black people died on Memorial Day this year in Chicago. Do you hear about any of that on the news? All the injustice there, if there's any? Or was it just another black on black crime and nobody cares about it? More black people die at the hands of black people than police by far. But we're not talking about that. White privilege is a lie. Do not buy into it. Systemic racism is a lie. Don't buy into it. Institutions of racism is a lie. Don't buy into it. Are those people in there that want to keep their power? Of course. Because once you have power, very few people want to give it up. But our job is create a system that forces them to give up the power through elections and voting. Why do we keep people in office that aren't doing their jobs? Why do you hire people who don't do their job? And then you complain, well, it's somebody else's fault. No, it's their fault. They got hired to do a job. And if they don't do it, they should be fired. Isn't that how it works in the real world? But we keep doing it because we feel sorry for ourselves instead of doing the hard work, which is investigating, finding out the actual facts, not using your ideology, but finding out the facts, because you may be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm not willing to sit there and say, I'm going to look at a white person and think they're bad people just because they're white. I'm not going to look at them and think, well, they got special privileges, because that hurts me as a black man to even believe that. That means I'm already entering the world without any thought process that I can make it, that I'm already can't make it because white people are going to get the advantage. That is not true, and you know it. You watch television, you see it. Great actors, great athletes, great presidents, great governors, great mayors, great civil rights movement people, great lawyers. Go down the list. There's always going to be a struggle in any culture because there are people who want to keep power, whether it's business or politics. That's just life. And they will use whatever narrative, if they're not good people, to keep that power. That's what you got to understand. They will tell you whatever they need to tell you to cripple you so you follow them. Black people in America, a lot of you are under ideological slavery. They are using the lie and creating the truth, making you believe that you're disenfranchised. What other country in the world has fought a civil war over black people? when they're white people. Find that country. 100,000 people died securing the rights of black people. That's an awesome thing. Not that the people die, but they're willing to fight for that principle. So don't make America something it is not. America was never a racist country. It was partly a racist country. Don't forget about the other side. North, South. It's in the history books. Read it. So as a black man trying to talk to you guys and give you some common sense and truth, listen. We're not always going to get along, but we should be doing it in truth. We should have discussions in truth, not ideology based on our feelings or ideology based on an anecdotal situation, because those are still lies. Every white person isn't trying to take advantage of a black person, and every white person doesn't get a job because they're white. That's just dumb. People want to hire the best people for the job because that helps them make more money. So let's use our smarts. Do not bow down to each other. Bow down to God. I love you, and I'm not angry with you. I'm angry with the people who want to blow up this country so they can seize power. They'll do it by any means necessary. Lies, half-truths. They'll use the media. They'll use politics, and they will use you. Don't let them. Signing off. Be good, America.